Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Bavro and Austin Underground. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and the cool cat, Jerry Hamilton. Got his gutters on this morning as Texas is ranked number 1.
Tell us hey, just for those that are new to this, and we have, I don't know, thousands of people that are, I'm wearing the gutters every morning that Texas is ranked number 1. So, and it's a good time to do a gooder read. I mean, so look, I mean, and the reality is that, man, if I was doing Texas A&M, I couldn't wear gooders for my whole life.
Hey, I got to say this, Jerry, your that reflection that shows your screen is kind of scary. It makes you look almost like a robotic there. Hey, a couple of news and notes that came out late yesterday with the injury report for the Longhorns. Punter Michael Kern is listed as questionable for Texas. That's somewhat surprising, although we noticed he tweaked his groin area on the last punt against Mississippi State. Not sure if that's what's kept him out until now. But Jerry, the punter, Michael Kern, and first-team deep snapper Tate Haver both listed as questionable for the Longhorns. Haver did not play against Mississippi State either, so that's not necessarily new news. In other good news, I think Derek Williams upgraded to probable from questionable or even doubtful 2 weeks ago. So that's good news. Quinn Ewers obviously listed as probable. On the Oklahoma side of things, their wide receiver unit resembles a MASH unit, actually. Yeah. Not only are Jarrell Farouk, Nick Anderson, and Andrell Anthony out, but also Deion Burks now appears questionable. They've lost defensive back Gentry Williams and Kendall Doby. Those two guys are out. It is a tough sled. It's tough sledding for the Sooners in some respects, but particularly so at wide receiver right now.
Yeah, and Deion Burks. So people that Bobby, we both know that have covered Oklahoma for a long time have both reported that Burks is out.
Yes.
So Deion Burks was listed as questionable before the Auburn game as well, and he did not play. So people that cover in Oklahoma are saying Deion Burks is out. So we'll see.
I thought Burks got injured in the Auburn game. Was it the Tennessee game?
And it was Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was listed as questionable before on the first injury report before the Auburn game, and obviously he didn't play in that one. But yeah, the people that covered Oklahoma that guys we've known for a long time, they said they've already reported he's not expected to play Saturday.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. If the Longhorns are, it's very interesting, Jerry, because we've talked about this game ad nauseum right now. And we knew that the Sooners were going to be down at wide receiver based on everything we'd seen in previous weeks. We didn't know they would be this down, nor did we know they would be switching quarterbacks until 2 weeks ago. And so a lot of the pre-thought in the preseason about what this game would look like has changed dramatically. I mean, we thought, Oklahoma might be trying to go 4 wide a bunch, right? And now they're trying to put 3 good receivers on the field, And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what is this Oklahoma offense going to look like? Maybe they've struggled with that identity themselves quite a bit this year with Hawkins, but they put together some drives at times. We'll see what comes of this. I'm not really worried about the Oklahoma offense. I think Texas is going to be able to handle the Oklahoma offense at least to a large degree. They may slip through and make a couple of big plays here and there. The real test here for Texas and for Oklahoma, for that matter, is the Texas offense versus the Oklahoma defense. Those are the two strengths of these two teams.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. That was kind of a perfect lead in where I wanted to go with this is look, the Gentry Williams injury for them is actually really big, and it's probably talked about more on Oklahoma message boards. Honestly, I don't go to them. But he was a guy that was being NFL mock drafted in the first and second round. He was their best corner. He was their fastest corner. He was their best playmaking corner. So, there's some thought that he may be out for the season, and that really impacts them the rest of this way. And I don't know if he's officially been if Brent Venables has said that, but there's some chatter. But then Dolby, their cheetah, I mean, that is two big losses in their secondary. And Gentry Williams is a significant one because you don't replace first-round level players. I don't.
Not a corner. Not
like,
a corner.
Yeah, that's like the same thing. It's like if Kelvin Banks were to go down and miss 7 or 8 games, Trevor Gooseby, his development curve is still going. You don't replace that level player at those premium positions. I don't care who you are; it affects you. So that's actually a big loss for Oklahoma. I mean, and Auburn threw for what, 330 against the game. And now Dolby got hurt against Tennessee, so they didn't have Dolby or Gentry Williams for that Auburn game. That's going to be, again, my keys for this game just haven't changed. Texas offensive line plays a high-level game. Quinn and Sark are going to have guys open.
Yeah, I just think it's the Texas offense versus the OU defense. OU feasts on disruptive plays, be it turnovers or sacks. Texas, meanwhile, can go at you multiple different ways. They can beat you in the short passing game. They've proven they can beat you in the intermediate and long. It'll be two teams that are hyped up and have strengths that specifically are made to counteract one another. We'll see which one is the best, Jerry and Blake as well. Hey, I want to say this, a couple of other notes before we move on and talk a little bit. Cedric Benson, the former Longhorn and guy that I've known since he was in high school, as a freshman actually, passed away tragically a few years back now in a motorcycle accident on 22 in Austin. He is getting a statue made of him. This is a young man I think is still the second all-time leading rusher in University of Texas history, behind only Ricky Williams. Just a great football player, played in the NFL, longtime guy. He's getting a statue of him at his high school in Midland, Texas, his hometown. The Midland Lee head coach had this to say about Cedric, and I wanted to share it. We asked ABC if it was okay if we could share this with you guys, because I thought it was such a great tribute, and we want to do that now. Go ahead, Blake.
But I respect what Coach Parchman's told me about him, is how tough he was. There's a story whenever they got beat by Odessa High in 2000, when they won the last state championship, and they'd lost the first district game to Odessa High. And Coach Parchman had challenged him, and he said, hey, he came in there and he said, Coach Parchman, I need some help. And basically what he told Cedric was, well, stud, the good ones don't. So the next day he came in that office, he said, give me the ball. So I think his carries went from like 10 or 12 more carries per game the rest of that year. And basically he took a challenge and said, yeah, I don't need the help. Let me do it, So, but I've talked to John Rogers, the quarterback, who's one, and those guys, and that played with him, and said B was pretty good. I know Roy Williams told me one night they held him to 90 yards in the first half, and they thought it was pretty good. In the night game, they had 353. So pretty good player.
From 90 to 353. There you go.
That's Clint Hartman, the head coach at Midland Legacy, now Legacy High. He used to be at Clear Springs. Really good guy. Cedric Benson. We have, gosh, Bobby, I know we all have our stories. We need to get Houston Street on here. He's got a couple as well from playing against him. But, I mean, just the toughness on every single carry. His toughness never took a carry off. And that's I think the greatest compliment I could give a running back is your toughness, especially a downhill guy like that. Your toughness never took a play off. That's hard to do when you're getting hit as much as those guys.
I want to say that, he could be considered the most dominant high school player in Texas high school football history.
Yep.
He is in that category. Would he win 3 state championships as the lead player on that team in the state's largest classification? The thing that I always, and Daryl Drake, rest in peace, the former Longhorn coach, who also had gone on to be an assistant with the Chicago Bears when Cedric was up there with him, told me that Cedric Benson may have had the best contact balance of any running back of all time. He said that he literally was well balanced no matter where he was, how he was, whatever he was doing. And I'll never forget that. But obviously his strength was as much mental as it was physical. To your point, Jerry, you don't get to be that good without really, caring about what you're doing. He was a tremendous, tremendous player, and I'm happy that they're putting a statue up of him there in Midland.
That's a great
five TDs in all 3 state championships.
There you go. I mean, think about that. I mean, just think about that for a second. The 5 touchdowns in all 3 state championship games. And by the way, that was back when we didn't have all these divisions and everything was so spread out.
Yeah, no, it was. I was at the one his last year where it was Midland Lee versus Westlake. I think I know it was Midland Lee versus Westlake, either his junior or senior year. I can't remember, but in DKR, they didn't always play them in Arlington at Jerry World, and so I'm a big fan of Cedric Benson. Always will be. Tremendous player. He and Roy Williams from West Texas kind of encapsulated Texas football for the University of Texas too, from that region of the country for a long time.
And by the way, we need to add in that obviously one of his high school teammates was Eric Winston, went on to be a tremendous offensive tackle in the NFL. And Bobby, I know you know about this, and one of the better recruiting stories, he came from an A&M family. Winston was leaning to Texas. The family wasn't having it, so he went to Miami.
Yes.
And I know you covered that, Bobby.
I did.
Family wanted to go to Texas. Like said, we're disowning you if you go to Texas.
Miami's not a bad fallback if that's the case, by the way.
No.
But yeah.
Not at all.
And by the way, we want to thank Kaylor Smith of KMID for letting us use that video. So thank you to her. And Bobby, if you don't mind, before we move on here, I'm going to let you tell everybody about Austin Underground.
Yeah, absolutely. Since 2004, Rick Vavro and Austin Underground have specialized in difficult underground commercial installations. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. Also, check out their sister company, Texas Road. Texas Road does commercial projects that are large in nature, like subdivisions. If you need something like that done, make sure you reach out to our friends over at Texas Road and Austin Underground.
Well, big game this weekend, but recruiting also doesn't stop. What do you have for us, Jerry?
Well, we wanted to bring up a little video of Josiah Sharma this morning. So Josiah Sharma, the Texas defensive line commit that I absolutely love this guy. This was his first game of the year Friday, so at Folsom. So we'll see. He'll play his way back into shape as this season moves along because they'll have a long season. But because of the transfer rules, his transfer was challenged in the state of California. He had to sit out the first 5 games of his senior season. So this is game 1 for Josiah Sharma. We just wanted to send you because a lot of times we play clips of guys committed to Texas, but he hadn't had any until this last Friday. So at Folsom, you see that. He's still got that, man. He may be carrying about 10 pounds more than he wants right now, but he's got that explosiveness, quickness, playing strength, contact power. I think this guy's going to be one hell of a defensive lineman at the University of Texas. Does remind me of Sean Rogers just because of that size, frame, quickness, power combination. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-pro, but I am saying that's who he reminds me of. And it was good to see Josiah back on the field, getting his first game action there, solidly committed to Texas, expected to be in for the Georgia game next weekend. I also made some stops yesterday, went over to Cedar Hill, watched some of their practice yesterday, and that's always fun. The Coleman triplets, but it was all hook 'em horns yesterday. That's Marcus Hutchins, offensive line coach and recruiting coordinator on the left. Thomas Ashcraft, who obviously played at Texas as well, out of Cedar Hill on the right, with Devin Coleman in the black shorts and Jordan Coleman in the red shorts. And Bobby, I mean, isn't that what those two cats are? 6'4.5", 335, and 6'5.5", 353. And there's not a lot of fat on those guys.
No, and I will say this: if you're worried about their size being legitimate, that's legitimate.
Legitimate.
That's proof
size.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's proof positive.
And also on that tweet, the little brother of the triplets, Isaiah Coleman, all 6'1.5", 270 of him plays on the defensive line there. But Jordan Coleman has missed one game. You see that taped ankle on the right, had a little bit of an ankle issue. Devin Coleman, they're both playing guard this year for Cedar Hill. Devin Coleman does take some snaps at defensive line as well. They'll be at the Georgia game. Then I went over to Mansfield High. I took a look at Zion Robinson, the 2026 receiver. I made another stop, which we'll talk about another day probably. But Zion Robinson, 2026 wide receiver at Mansfield High. His father's the track coach at TCU, former Olympian in the 800 meters, I believe. Zion's the defending state high jump champion headed into this spring. A kid that Texas, Chris Jackson, stays in contact with. They're trying to get him down for the Georgia game. He's been to games at A&M, TCU, and Oklahoma this year. So we'll see where that Texas push is with Zion, because he was one of the stars at the Texas Elite Camp June 1st. Otherwise, recruiting, we had a question about Michael Terry yesterday. I don't think anything's changing with us there. Texas continues to look good for Michael Terry. We'll be checking on, after Hurricane Milton, we'll be checking on Myron Charles. Myron Charles and Javion Hilson to see if those guys are going to be able to get out to the Texas-Georgia game next weekend. They're both scheduled to be, but obviously I'm sure people have watched. Port Charlotte got a lot of storm surge, and I've never seen that many tornadoes in a state that happened yesterday. So Cocoa got hit some areas, so we'll be checking on those guys. But I'm gonna put up the updated Texas-Georgia visitors list, and it's the major names. I'm going to put that up about 30 minutes after the show, as well as I'm going to put up a list of 2026 offers that I really love, guys that I think are big-time players in 26. So I'm going to have both of those things up here about an hour after the show.
Okay, guys, we got a special guest, one of two this morning. Coach Bob Shipley, no stranger to On Texas Football. Coach, how we doing this morning?
Hey, we're doing good. We may have three guests. If Jordan walks through the door, I've got him out here working.
You still got him working.
I told him that's exactly the opposite of the truth. He has me out here at his ranch working, and I said, hey, if you're around the headquarters, come in, tell everybody hi. I'm sure they'll want to ask you a question or two about the OU week. So we'll see if he shows up or not.
How you doing, Bob? How you doing this morning?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. It's 8:31, and OU still sucks. So I'm all good.
Now, Coach, I know you have some unbelievable memories from Texas OU games, being a father in the stands, being part of the Texas staff. What does this week do for you?
Well, it does bring back a lot of great memories, although there were some darker years when Jackson was playing. But it's just all the way back, as I've said before, to 1977 with Randy McEachern. He was the one that really, I don't know, I guess the first guy that I ever really thought as a sports hero. I mean, I even talked to somebody who talked to somebody, and he came and spoke at our football sports banquet in Burnett that year. I just thought a third-team quarterback coming off the bench and leading Texas to a win was unbelievable. So that's my first, really substantial memory as a young. I don't know if you'd call me an adult, but anyway, and then I wasn't able to take any of the boys there on whenever they would go on recruiting when Texas could have recruits there. I never got to go. I was always working. So my wife took them, their mother took them. And anyway, some interesting stories about some of those trips. But, the thing that I remember more than anything about one of the many things I remember is that Jordan, didn't play his first year, didn't play his second year, his third year. It was kind of like, this guy not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. This guy's already fooled us 2 years in a row. So his play was very sparse up to that point in his career. His third season, actually, at UT. So it was hot. It was 11 o'clock game, and Sharon, my wife, said, you know, I just cannot sit here and watch him be miserable on the sidelines anymore. She said, I'm going to go out in the fair or something. I'm burning up, and I just can't. I said, watch. Who's miserable? I think he's probably having a pretty good time over there backing his teammates. But so anyway, she left. She goes in and she sends me a text and says, I'm in the puppet show, and it's air conditioned in here. So Jordan gets in the game. Jordan catches a pass. Jordan catches another pass. I got nobody to high five except Brad McCoy. Boom. Jordan catches his first touchdown of the Texas OU game. Mama's in the puppet show. Getting cooled off, you know. So anyway, she goes, no way. There's no way that happened. She said, I kept hearing the cheers, but I just figured it was OU. And so then the next year, she's like, I got to use the bathroom so bad. OU had anyway. She misses another touchdown. His third year, guess what? The vendors don't have any water by the time I've got to get something to drink or I've got to use the bathroom, whatever. And I said, no, please don't. She goes, OU just got the ball. I'll be fine. So she goes up. OU scores a quick one. They kick off to Jordan. I'm like looking up there before the kickoff, and she's nowhere to be seen. So she missed his first 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
I think there may have been another one in there the year before, his second year. But anyway, it finally got to where in 2009, when there was a lull in the game, our friends around would say, Sharon, don't you need to go to the bathroom or get a drink or something? Because we need something to happen here, you know? But anyway, one of my funniest fun memories was being able to share that on the staff with Jackson when we beat them in 2013. That was quite a game, quite a fun time. In that game, actually, I was in the press box helping talking to Oscar Giles on the sideline with the defensive line. And at halftime, they take you down. You go down the elevator, but when you leave the press box, you have to go into the fair. There's not like a gated lane that you go to get to the field house, the dressing room. You got to go through the fair. And so they kind of have a little area roped off. Not really. Got a cop in front of us, cop in back. I don't know. What is it, 8 or 10 of us probably up in the press box. And I'm right behind Major. And so we're running along, and I see this lady from Oklahoma, probably the hills. I'm not sure. But anyway, she had a white styrofoam cup, and I saw her get that cup and go like this, and I thought, oh, no. Do it all in Major's face. All in his face.
Oh, wow.
And of course, Major, being the competitor that he is, sticks a foot in the ground and just does a 180, you know. And I'm like, oh, no. We need you to call this second half. We don't need to get you out of the jail. So thankfully, the officer behind us escorted that couple out, and we went on to win the game. But that was 2000.
That's an amazing story, Coach. I did not know that. And next time I talk to Major, I can't wait to hear about it.
I love it. That encapsulates everything about that game in some ways. I mean, because it is just it can come from you. It can come out of nowhere. I mean, people you've never met in your life, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of something you didn't even start. You're just trying to work, man. I'm just here to pay my paycheck. You're going to make me.
I know. And, college is different than high school. You got like 45 minutes for halftime. It's like forever. That's my biggest complaint about high school football games is the halftime's too long. But I know we need to get the bands on the field, blah, blah, blah. But you don't have that much time in college, so we were having to hump it to get all the way down there through the crowd to the dressing room.
Hey, Coach, we got a question from the chat for you real quick. What are your keys to the game, and who are your impact players for Texas?
Well, starting from Oklahoma's viewpoint, if I'm Oklahoma offensively, I'm just moving the chains. Just move the chains. Don't worry about explosive plays. You got to keep Texas offense off the field. You got to get them frustrated. Just do what you have to do to move the chains and let the scoring take care of itself. Conversely, they can't let us have these long sustained drives. So obviously that's what we need. We need to hang on the ball. I'd love to see us get the opening kickoff. And I've said this before, I just think we really seem to be a little more in sync offensively. I know that Sark certainly seems to be more in sync play calling wise when Quinn is in the game. And so I just look for us to both coaches, as you know, are going to pull out all the stops. But we can't get ourselves, I mean, it sounds like coach talk, but you can't get yourself in 3rd and long. You've got to make positive yardage on first downs. That's, without a doubt. I do think special teams are something that we really haven't been able to say, not negative. We got a punt block, but we haven't had a whole lot of big plays. Special teams. This is the perfect game. We need to make a big play special teams wise. That really takes its toll, on the opponent. But I think Quinn just has to play within himself. I think we need to run the ball, of course. We need to hit the short, intermediate routes, let the receivers get the yak yards, and just get their offense off the field.
Coach, you look at them, and I was just talking about this early in this broadcast, and we were talking about how it is strength on strength, right? It's the Texas offense, which is expected to be the strength of the Texas team, and the OU defense, which is the strength of their team. What do you think that's going to look like? You think both sides are going to make plays? I mean, you think Texas is going to be a little bit more dominant there? You think OU's got something to say about that because they've got a good front seven, really, as well as a pair of good safeties?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be I don't see Oklahoma making the explosive plays that we have the opportunity to make. I am a little bit concerned quarterback-wise, maybe having somebody spy him, so that they don't get big plays that way. That's you've got everything covered, and the quarterback tucks the ball and runs, and that makes it a little tougher defensively. Kind of let the air out of yourselves, but I look for us to certainly have more explosive plays than they do. I don't look for them to throw the ball down the field a lot. I just look for them to try to control the clock, control the game, try to simulate a little bit what we saw the last time the Longhorns were on the field. Just try to move the ball and keep that offense off the field.
Hey, Coach, I got a text. Says, tell Uncle Bob his favorite nephew says hello.
Wow. Hey, all right, Harvey. Thanks for sending that in. I don't have a nephew named Harvey. But.
No, it's Coach Reardon at Chapel Hill.
Oh, yeah, Coach Reardon, yeah. Yeah, well, he's definitely the best coach in all the family, for sure. Yeah. He's got those Chapel Hill Bulldogs on consistently being a blue blood high school football team for sure.
Yes, he does. He's got his running backs going to Texas next year.
That's right.
Hey, Coach, thank you so much. We appreciate your time this morning. We know you got the winning drive to this afternoon with you, Rod Babers, CJ Vogel. You guys have fun, and we'll talk to you this weekend, man.
All right, sounds good. Hook 'em horns, baby. Let's go.
It's time, isn't it, Coach? Good stuff. I love it. That story with Major Applewhite is going to go down now.
That's unbelievable. We got to clip that one, Blake.
Yeah, we will.
We do.
Good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, Jerry, it's time for you to tell everybody about Gooder.
Well, they're going on. There we go. Look, no slip, no bounce. It's not lies. It's all truth, guys. You got to get your Gooders. Hey, Blake, did you bring up the picture of the UT, their Gooders that are sold out, but they got more of them coming? I've seen those in Austin at Bevo Boulevard. Look, these stylish sunnies start at $25 a pair. No slip, no bounce, all polarized, all fun. 1-year warranty. I say it every time. Throw it out the window. 30-day returns. You don't need that either, unless you don't need it, period. They have 3 new high-performance styles, the Bolt G, the Bug G, and the Astro G for those joggers, cyclers, the outdoor sports guys, the Bug G, the aerodynamic wraparound shades for next level performance. These buzzworthy active shades have trendy oval shaped lenses and come packed with high performance features. Aerodynamic dual lens frames. I need anything to make me look athletic. I'll take a pair of those. All three of those frames have UV 400 polarized lenses. I know Bobby Petronic asked about that. If you want to support the show and try a pair of Gooders, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas, all caps, for free shipping. Again, I got to say it. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, which you don't need, and 100% satisfaction, which they were conservative. It's $1,000. Again, that's Gooder/OnTexas. Use code OnTexas, all caps, and you can wear these stylish sunnies starting at $25 a pair. And it's really fun to wear them when you're ranked number 1, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. We're going to get right back into it in just a second. But first, I need to let everyone know about HelloFresh as well, because with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And it's simple. HelloFresh delivers all the pre-portioned ingredients you'll need to make homemade meals. That means all the proteins, all the veggies, the sauces, the spices, and everything else in between. It all arrives in your box along with easy instructions that walk you through each step in the cooking process. You can't mess it up. You'll be impressing everybody. You'll have a great tasting meal in no time. You'll love it. Whoever you're cooking for will love it. You can't go wrong, and that's what I love about it. It's simple, it's quick, it saves time. I'm telling you, it's the best. And here's the best part. HelloFresh is going to hook y'all up with free food. You can get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. That's HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. And those meals will be applied across 7 boxes. It's for new subscribers only. It varies by plan, but 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. And one thing that we didn't look at this morning, but it's in the chat right now, not much movement on the line, guys. It opened at 14.5. It's back to 14.5. Over and under is holding pat at 50.5. And Texas with an 85.1% chance to win, according to ESPN Analytics.
That's big news for Bobby. It was 85.2 yesterday. So heading in the right direction, Bobby. Make you feel better before the game.
I'm not so worried about that. What that means is they expect like a 31-20, 30-21 game.
Yeah.
Right. Or no, actually, it's going to be, wow. It's going to be more like, man, I'm off a little bit like that. But my point being, they expect a 2-score win by Texas. That's all fine and good. How that 2-score win comes about is going to be interesting. Is it going to be one where Texas actually comes out early and gets on top of OU, and then OU's trying to get back in it? Or is it one that Texas perhaps pulls away late? We'll see. But I would love it for that to be the final result, a 14 or 15-point win. I really don't care as long as Texas wins on Saturday. I will add this. I was just looking at the weather for Saturday's game. It's supposed to be 93 in Dallas. At kickoff, 2:30 there. Clear skies the entire day. It will go up to about 94 the rest of the way and hold until the end of the game. So it's going to be a little hot in Dallas. We'll see what that means if the guys get hot a little bit, Jerry, because it's depth is an issue, particularly on the defensive and offensive lines for the teams. And I think particularly the offensive line for the Sooners could be a real issue. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it sounds like a good day for beer sales too.
Very often asked, first time going to the game itself, any advice? Absolutely. Go get yourself a corn dog. Go get yourself a funnel cake. Drink some Dr. Pepper or whatever. Drink a flight from Yingling. We'll talk about that later because we're going to be out there at the flight tent from about 10:15 to 11 on Saturday. Also, the tailgate for the Dallas Texas X's is at Gate 5, right off of Gate 5, and it is free. You just have to buy your own beer tickets, and it is available. You do not have to be have gone to school at Texas. No Texas Exes events are ever like that. If you're a fan, you can go to those events. Again, that's going to be the Dallas Texas Exes tailgate at Gate 5.
And also the team bus pulls into the Cotton Bowl. So, and I can't remember what side of the stadium that's on, or what would be technically the coordinates of that would be. We'll try to get that. So if you're in there a couple hours before, the team bus does pull right in. Players get off if you want to see that as well. Hey, by the way, we got it's just a good question. Edward asked, Jerry and Bobby and Blake, if you were Sark, what would you say to the team in the locker room before the game? Mine's pretty simple. I don't think you have to say anything in this game, but I would have a cardboard cutout type of thing made of Brent Venables and Stutzman on social media last year celebrating, and pull that thing right out, and I wouldn't say anything. That's all I would do.
I'd bring in Tony Heels.
That's
That's what I would do. I wouldn't have to say anything at all.
a good one, Blake.
4 words, and go kick their ass.
Yeah.
That's it. And y'all know I don't cuss very often. Yeah, that's what I would be saying. Those are the 4 words. That's all that matters.
Oh, man. Good stuff here. By the way, we need to say happy birthday to Isaiah Stewart. He says, starting my birthday the best way possible. Hook 'em. And OU really does suck. And I also want to say happy birthday to Tom Bailey. He says, today's my birthday. It's a bright, sunny day up here in Canada. My only wish is for an awesome showing from the Texas offensive line and a good old-fashioned whooping of OU on Saturday. So happy birthday to you both.
All right, I forgot to say that. It was Marcus Hutchins' birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to lifetime Longhorn Marcus Hutchins, former Texas offensive lineman, now offensive line coach and recruiting coordinator at Cedar Hill.
There you go. And Longhorn Nation, thank you for the super chat. Says, I think OU is going to come out and play a deep zone scheme, thinking Texas won't have success running the ball. But Sarkisian has heard for weeks about our run game, and I believe we run the ball well. What do y'all think?
Well, they've run it better than OU. OU's averaging only 3.7 yards per carry this year. I think that they'll try, but Venables likes to match stuff underneath too. He's pretty good at it. He is and I know this is going to hit people a little bit. He's very similar as a defensive coordinator to Will Muschamp. Really jumps the underneath stuff with tendencies and utilizes his linebackers and safeties to try to, negate short gains, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4. I mean, he's willing to risk that to give up a 10 or 15 yard play 1 out every 2 times. So he is a lot like Will Muschamp. We'll see if they can pull it off against Texas.
I think what's interesting is if you go back, when I was thinking about the Oklahoma team driving around yesterday, this game, their linebackers, we talked about their bigger guys, but bigger guys with longer arms also get in passing lanes. Right, Bobby?
Yep.
So that play to JT Sanders last year, that ball that was a little high to JT in the red zone, which, it's arguable if JT should have left his feet to make the catch. That's a different argument, but he did have a hurt ankle. Stutzman got his long arm up and forced Quinn to throw that ball a little higher than the play was designed.
Yeah.
Those are some little things to watch there with the Oklahoma linebackers on throws inside the hashes. I think Venables does a really good job of having – Stutzman obviously is an instinctive player. But they have the linebackers that can get in your vision throwing the football in the short game in between the hashes over the middle. They can be a factor in that, short to intermediate.
Yeah, I would add this. And the other thing that they'll do is they will blitz the safeties more than Texas has done in recent past. They've got a guy named Robert Spears Jennings. You'll see him. He'll be coming off the edge. He's number 3. Okay. Make sure you watch for him. He's got 2 sacks on the year, and he's a little bit bigger than most. And so people will try to push on that Venables will try to dial that up at times and get maybe a zone blitz look and get yours trying to get the ball rid of it quickly and maybe dropping a defensive lineman in coverage. They're going to he will mix things up. Most of their sacks this year have come from the defensive linemen, not from their linebackers, which is interesting. Stutzman and Kip Lewis are guys that can rush the passer. We'll see if they try to switch it up this week against Texas. Well, Blake, can you put that back up so we can read that out about the buses and where they're located?
I'll do that. I'll do that. I brought that up.
Okay.
This is from Rilo Hookham. 12:15 a.m. team bus arrival. Cheer on the Longhorns as they arrive on Coliseum Drive and make their way near Gate L.
Okay, that is 12:15 p.m. Obviously, but that's good information, Rilo. Appreciate it very much. Coliseum Drive, Gate L, 12:15. If you're around the Cotton Bowl, try to make it over there and make sure the guys know you're there for them.
We got a couple of other super chats I wanted to read real quick, fellas. This one here from Sean. Thank you, Sean. He says, best show on YouTube. Can't believe how y'all have grown over the past few years. Don't get to watch live very often, but watch everything that y'all put out. Keep it up, fellas, and hook 'em.
Appreciate it, Sean. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, we're at 61,000 over 200. Thanks for all y'all support, and I know y'all pass the word, and I really appreciate it. And we have a lot of fun. And this stuff is only fun, and you only really want to push it if you have a great community. That's the one thing I know about this business over the years.
And then Colin Davis wants to know, do y'all think the OU program is worse in year 3 under Venables versus where Texas was in year 3 under Sark? If so, why? And does that mean anything?
Quarterback. Certitude at quarterback with Sark in year 3. You already had Quinn 1 year into the starter gig. I think that I would take that. I do believe that Venables is doing a good job at OU, though. That win 2 weeks ago against Auburn was big for them because that's a game that OU loses in past years, I think. The numbers all showed that OU should have lost that game, yet they found a way to win. Look, I mean, he's not doing a bad job up there, but I do like where Sark had things headed from a skill position standpoint overall. I think that's really the piece right now. Now, maybe the Sooners have found their quarterback of the future in Michael Hawkins, though. So we'll have to see what next year looks like, for example.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I kind of hit on this. My thoughts on it was he backed himself in the corner with Dylan Gabriel when he let him walk. And that was the first sign of if it doesn't work out, maybe you have an issue. You cannot, and I will say this, and it's why I'm not a big proponent of taking offensive linemen out of the portal. If it's one player 1 year, but it's hard to build continuity on the offensive line out of the portal. You have to get high school guys and develop them at that position. And that is, to me, that's a tough thing. So I think they're going to have to build more through the high school level that they can count on in the future there. I agree with you. Look, if Oklahoma had lost to Auburn, I know Venables just got an extension, but nothing puts pressure on a rival coach more than the other one being ranked 1 in the America.
Yes.
And by the way, A&M's doing well under Elko. There's a lot of pressure on Brent Venables and Norman because they're all in the same conference now, and they're all recruiting the same players.
All right. We have Peyton Yager coming up in just a second. But first, Bobby, you posted this over on the On Texas Football community page, and you said, who will be the player of the game versus Oklahoma? Over 2,700 people voted, and 69% of them say it's going to be Quinn.
Obvious choice, right, guys? Y'all agree with that? I mean, he's the obvious choice. He had a great game last year after he settled down after the first quarter. No reason to think that he won't be the guy this week or on Saturday as well. I kind of wondered, Jerry, who else should I like? There's a limit on number of players I can actually put out there. Like you only have 5 choices. There's some other guys. You mentioned Baron Sorrell the other day. Bob Shipley was talking on Monday's Monday's winning drive about David Benda being one of those guys. Maybe it's Andrew Mukuba being a new insert in the lineup. But there's just a lot of guys, but I think it's fair. Everybody voted for Quinn. I mean, he's going to be the one that has the ball in his hand every down that he's on the field.
Yeah, no, and I think so. And that fits being, coming back from injury. We've seen that happen before. Obviously, Davis Bevel's not the starting quarterback this year for Oklahoma. But yeah, coming off the injury, especially kind of last year, right? I mean, Texas started a little shaky, but then I think he completed his last 19 passes of that game. Is that right, Bobby? Or completed 19 in a row. But I went with Baron Sorrell because I think Colin Simmons is going to start getting more attention from the opponents. But I think this is a Baron Sorrell game. This is a experienced, tough guy up front game.
Good stuff.
Yep.
I'm ready for it, man. Well, I'm tired of talking about it. I want this game to happen. I want to be at the fair right now.
I know somebody else who's ready for this game to happen, Blake.
And
who else is
somebody
ready
who's been
for
at
this
the
game to happen?
Peyton, how are we doing this morning?
I don't know. I just woke up. What's up?
Oh, somebody's enjoying Texas OU week.
No, I work until 11 p.m. So
Hey, Peyton, how are you doing today? You're a big Texas fan. I know you're up at the Michigan game this year as well. You're a reporter there in Dallas, but longtime Texas grad as well. I got to ask you, you're doing some stuff with the Texas X's this weekend. Wanted to get you, I think you're going to the Bash before the class on Friday afternoon.
Friday night at the AT&T Discovery Plaza in downtown Dallas. And I mean, you're going to be there, right?
Yep, I'll be there.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I heard. So there's going to be a ton of us. I mean, it's this Bash before the game. The pep rally is like getting bigger and bigger every year. So like this year they have a stage. They're expecting hundreds of people. And there's like some surprise special guests. Not me. Cooler people than me.
Yes. Peyton, what are you thinking about the Longhorns this year? You're got to be excited. What are you thinking about them?
No, I always get nervous. Right about now, like the Thursday before. Well, first of all, I went to Michigan. That was like my away game of the year because I know you'll all come to me for the Red River rivalry. So I went because my dad went to Michigan. So that was a little, so there's that, but I'm excited for them. I have confidence in them, and I'm just glad. I mean, I love Arch, but I'm glad Quinn's back, and I really hope that we don't start off like shaky. But I gave my score prediction yesterday on Fox 4, and I said Horns 41-21. I know that's high for the Sooners, but I don't know. I have no idea what you guys have been saying at all. So that's just me coming up with that on my own.
I went 31-20 Texas.
Oh, okay.
So you're not. We're in the same ballpark.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think
I'm 37-20. The Friendswood grads are more aggressive.
I'm like hang 50 on them. No.
Yeah, yes, by the way, so Peyton is a Friendswood High graduate, so that's 2 Friendswood Highs. That's hard to get on one show, by the way, Peyton. That's a very rare thing in this world, right?
That is why I come on this show. No offense, Bobby, but like or Blake. I'm sorry. Blake is the one that actually like books it. So
Hey, so what's the vibe like in Dallas? You're out and about, you're around. When does it really start picking up as far as when you see the Texas and Oklahoma fans kind of start converging on Dallas?
That's why, yeah, like today, definitely today. But you know, the flags have been up all week. And then I was at the fair last Friday, so a week before, like the day before our bye week. And they already had the helmets up and everything. And it wasn't even the week. So people were already, and you know, 2 weeks, because we both had bye week, it's just 2 weeks of talking trash. Kind of what Bobby said, like, I'm just ready to get to Saturday. Honestly, I'm like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Whether it's good or whether it's bad. I'm just like, let's move on.
So I got to ask you, so you mentioned you were at the Michigan game. What was that whole experience like in Ann Arbor? Because that's a bucket. I mean, obviously you said your father went there, but that's still a bucket list. bucket list game to watch Texas play there. What was that trip like for you?
So I've been to Ann Arbor before, but I went when I was like 12 to, I think it was Michigan Penn State maybe. So it was not Ohio State. That's on my bucket list. But I've been before, but I didn't really remember anything. And now I'm an adult. So I went with my family, and then also some of my UT grad girlfriends were there too. It was none of y'all were there, or am I the only one?
I was there.
Oh, everyone. Okay, good. It just was a lot of orange. I was surprised. I thought I was going to have to hold it down. I mean, I don't know why I should be surprised. We traveled very well. I went to New Orleans last year. But just like Michigan national champions, I was surprised. But I had more confidence in that game than like the Red River Rivalry. I was like, I woke up that morning and I was like, we're going to win. And I didn't even know how many orange fans were there, but it was an experience. And I mean, the big house is pretty awesome, but it also was really quiet. So I don't know if I got the full experience.
That's true. It's a blowout.
It was a blowout. I felt like it was about 20% Texas fans in that stadium.
Oh, yeah.
You agree with that?
100%. And then they were scattered all the way around, like minus the maze of the student, but you could still see the yellow and the orange, which is not a cute combination. No, it was a lot. I was impressed.
There are things that I've thought about in my life, but I've never thought about whether yellow and orange was a cute combination.
My dad told me on Thursday, he's like, I saw on social media to maze out. And I was like, oh, those colors are just disgusting. Like, that's gross.
Hey,
what's your favorite memory? What's your favorite Texas OU memory as a student? Because I've got my own, going there and whatnot. What was your favorite Texas OU moment as a
My
student?
favorite memory was beating Baker Mayfield. I mean, that has been on that. I went there when obviously he was there. I had Charlie Strong, and so we were preparing for the worst, hoping for the best, and then I got the best. So I've seen that memory on like Twitter all week. They're like, oh yeah, that's like one of the best. So that was my favorite, and then as an adult, probably 49-0. That was the first year I moved back to Dallas from working in Oklahoma City. God bless. And it just felt nice.
Well, if that was 2015, I think that was exactly 9 years ago today.
I saw that on Twitter. It was like 9 years ago today. Texas went up to like 24-17 or 21-17 or something like that. And I was like, 9 years ago? I was a sophomore? That's terrifying.
Hey, by the way, I know what we're going to do for your next visit here. I'm going to get you a hat.
Guys, send me all the hat. I'm a hat girl.
I see that now. We're going to get you the On Texas football hat. Cruise around.
Cool. Wait, how are y'all feeling? I need to know like what y'all are feeling because I'm like wallowing in my own worries. I'm a nervous Texas fan.
Yeah, I'm actually probably too confident for Bobby on this game, and maybe even for Blake at this point. But I just think Oklahoma's injured. I think freshman quarterback, good player, obviously from Allen and Frisco Emerson up there. Michael Hawkins, his dad played at OU and for the Cowboys. But I just think the offensive line, they've had injuries. They haven't played well. That hasn't meshed for Oklahoma this year. All the advantages are on Texas' side. Does that mean Texas is going to win the game? It's still the game of football, and anything can happen. But I'm probably more confident going into this game, and I think that's also where Texas is at under Sarkisian than I would have been any other year. So I'm 37-20. That's what I went with.
I was really confident 2 years ago, Peyton, when they had their third string quarterback that didn't have an arm, basically, playing Texas. This year, I think that the thing that worries me, if you're a worrier, and I am one as well, specifically about this game, though, are turnovers from Texas. That's the one thing they have to guard against because OU is a very opportunistic team. They have to be because they don't have the offensive firepower right now. They're without their top four receivers going into this game. And so it's a little bit of Texas can't let OU make them make mistakes. And so that can compound some issues. But Texas is a 14.5 point favorite for a reason. They're number one. Texas is number one ranked team in the country for a reason. A lot of firepower for the Longhorns.
I'm
So,
excited.
hey, so here's a big question for you, Peyton. Are you going to the game or do you have to work?
No.
Okay.
Wait, first of all, I gotta give a shout out to this Christine Anderson girl. That's so kind. For people that don't know, I'm on the news every night, so I get some nasty comments. So this is amazing.
You love the nice ones. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
People are nice here. So I am going to the game. This is my 4th year in Dallas. My first 2 years, I worked on weekends, and then 2 years ago, I got promoted to Monday through Friday. So this is my 2nd year going as a fan. Last year, I sat, due to friends reasons, I sat on the OU side. I don't know if I told you that, guys, that last year. So this year, I am not. So I'm on the UT side, back where I belong. I'm really excited. And it's a 2:30 game, so we're all like going to the fair and we're doing the whole thing.
Well, you have to come by. We have our pregame at the Yingling tent. You have to come by Saturday.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Do that. Texas is at gate 5 as well, Peyton. Look, we appreciate you very much, and I'll see you on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Best of luck. I'm going to actually try to watch your telecast tonight, by the way. I get into Dallas this afternoon. So
Okay, yeah, I was wondering, are you guys not here yet?
I've been here since Tuesday. I've been here since Tuesday. I'm actually going to go to the Mavs Jazz preseason game tonight. My son and I are going to go to that tonight. So we're going to mix in a little NBA action tonight.
That's so fun. I went to the preseason game on Monday against the Grizzlies. That was fun. Wait, no, I'm excited to go see. I'll see you on Friday, Bobby. I'm sneaking out of work early, so do not tell Fox 4.
Your secret's safe with 5,000 people on the show right.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Blake, also for messaging me.
Not a problem. Thank you.
I'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself. All right. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Peyton Yager. She's she's a friends with Grad like me, but went to Texas, obviously works at Fox there in Dallas and does a great job. And we kind of been following her work, and she was really cool though, because she got to go up to the Michigan game this year and do that, not from a work standpoint, but from a fan standpoint. But we thought it'd be great to bring her on once again, especially the game up in Dallas around the State Fair, because she's been covering the State Fair with her job, and it'd be really cool that she'll be talking at she'll be one of the hosts at the Texas X's event on Friday evening.
Yeah, she's going to MC it with Doug Rice. I was going to say this. One of the reasons we like to bring her on, I mean, we like to showcase Texas grads that are doing well. She is unquestionably a fast riser in the industry.
No doubt.
And so do not be surprised if you see her nationally sooner rather than later, in my opinion.
Boy, she's got a challenge though. We should have challenged her. She's got Doug Rice. She's got her energy level's got to be like news adrenaline reporting up Friday night.
Y'all are killing me in the chat. All right, some more super chats we have, guys. Let's see here. Longhorn Frenzy 1 wants to know, Jerry Hamilton, do you have any future visits up in East Texas? Lunch is on me. We have Corn Dog 7. I don't know if y'all have ever had Corn Dog 7. It's amazing. But they have a Corn Dog 7 food truck in Lufkin. You can even eat mayo on your corn dog. No judgment.
Yeah, no, I was actually through that area, but I went up to Tyler. I will try to get up there again this season, a little bit later in the season. I got a big trip coming up down south to back into Georgia, Florida, and some of those areas coming up here it's going to be like a week, 10-day trip to kind of hit all these 26 kids, all the kids that I want to bring the news and photos and videos to you guys. But I do plan to get back up in East Texas. I got to get up to Texarkana at some point and see Lance.
And then our next one comes from Slick Rick. Thank you, Slick Rick. He says, Bobby, Jerry, have y'all thought about working directly with the Texas staff on recruiting? Y'all are wise, and the staff can use y'all too for the years of experience you have. Jerry, you can be the recruiting director.
No interest. I'm good. I'm good. There were times when that moved. I'm sure Bobby, we could have thought about that, but I like getting in my car and doing what I do. I'm not good in the 80-hour office world. 80-hour a week office world. And then if the kid doesn't go your way, you might get blamed for it when you had nothing to do with it. I'll pass on that.
A lot of people don't realize this, but when I was in college, my senior year, that's a lot of what I did was cut up video for the University of Texas. They've got plenty of people that know as much or more about football than I'll ever know working in that capacity right now. And obviously they've done pretty well with it. The product they're putting on the field right now, not sure how much help they need, to be honest. But we will be here to report on what's going on and tell you where these guys are going and headed, and show you some of what they're all about too, before they ever arrive on campus.
Jeff Carey says, all you guys are picking Georgia except CJ to beat Texas. Bobby's saying, no, please explain. I'm
not. I picked Texas over Georgia. I picked Texas. We did if people are wondering what Jeff's talking about, we did a redo of sorts following the Michigan win this week, saying, okay, predict out the next X amount of games for Texas for the regular season. I had Texas going 6-1. The loss that I had for Texas was against Arkansas, not against OU or Georgia or Vanderbilt or even A&M in College Station. I had it at Arkansas because it comes at a unique time for Texas. Arkansas is going to be coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be one of those that Sam Pittman knows what his job is all about. And it's going to be circled and starred. And that's going to be, even if, some of that, I will say this, if the quarterback is okay, Taylon Green is okay, that could be a really tight game in my opinion.
That's what I was actually looking up. I was going to look up. So Arkansas is off this week, which came perfect timing, or they're not playing an SEC game. I think they're off though. So we don't have an injury report on Taylon Green. So that would be interesting. I don't know if anybody's seen anything that goes around to the message boards or whatnot. I have not seen anything on Taylon Green's injury update from that Tennessee game, but he tried to come in for one play. It was obvious he could not. It was a hyperextended knee, but with those hyperextended knees, you kind of wonder if you have any meniscus issues, and that obviously you weren't going to be told. No, they weren't going to know that for a while.
Hyperextended knee of a guy who is a mobile quarterback and needs to be a mobile quarterback to be highly effective.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers with a hyperextended knee may not be so bad, right? Yeah. Because a lot of what he's doing is dropping back and handing the ball off. Taylon Green's, he scrambles a lot, and they run the zone read a lot.
And then by the way, yeah, I did pick Georgia. I stuck with my predictions that I had made before the season because nothing had changed. I just stayed with them. But I will be honest. I mean, now Colby Young at Georgia. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a long time till that game gets played. You never know if somebody else is going to get plucked. But they don't. Similar to Oklahoma, better team. Don't get me wrong, but similar to Oklahoma, their receiver core is not what it was before the season. So that is that going to be an impact for them? But the thing that's, and we have time to talk about that, but and Georgia's going to be playing for their season next week. They have no margin for error left after the upset loss. They now, if they drop the Texas game, they still have at Ole Miss and Tennessee to go. So they're playing for their lives next Saturday. It's going to be Texas handles their business. Georgia will beat Mississippi State. That's going to be a whale of a physical football game in Austin on the 19th.
All right, our next super chat, fellas. We've talked about this off and on throughout the week, but that all-time 22 team for both Texas and OU. Steve Cap says all-time 22 and Ricky in the pony package.
Oh, man.
I could buy that.
Could you imagine that zone read with VY? You wouldn't know which way it was going. You wouldn't know who.
Well, Ricky and Earl also as lead blockers.
Yeah.
For one of those. Holy cow.
Oh, and then Quentin wants to know, did Makuba ever play for Venables at Clemson?
Yeah. He was recruited by Brent Venables.
I'm not sure he ever played for him, though, right? But he was recruited by him.
Oh, I don't know if he played for him. I guess he didn't play for him. No,
he did year one. He did year one.
Yeah, but Venables recruited Central Texas for Clemson. That's how he was able to get Makuba in the first place.
Yeah.
And Quentin says Southwest Airlines, OU, Texas, plane pool, October 11th, 10 a.m., Hangar 5. So there you go. And Justin Yarbrough wants to know, will Venables run the 3.35 any Saturday? And does Blue return next year with this half the season not going his way?
That's a really good back half of the question, because it's also a deep NFL draft at running back. I mean, look, you got a first rounder in Janty, which there wasn't last year, but the depth, you have multiple guys at Ohio State, you have multiple guys at Penn State. There's a number, and I'll forget him. I mean, Etienne's a really good player at Georgia, is going to be drafted. There is a lot of depth in the NFL running back draft in 25, and that's going to be an interesting decision to be made.
Jose Rodriguez says, Jerry, the upcoming 26-27 recruiting classes have many legacy/deep ties to Texas or the current staff. Will those classes have a better chance of being number one?
That's a tough question. Look, a lot of that depends on how many five-star kids there are in your state, how many of those guys you can win. But then it's also going to come down to how many national recruitments of top 50 guys you win, because that really matters on recruiting class rankings. For instance, I mean, one area that Georgia's got in their advantage in recruiting and has, but Kirby's won, so it's mattered, is that state's absolutely loaded. And who's your competition in state? Georgia Tech. I mean, Texas has more competition in state for their top guys. And yes, I know Alabama and Tennessee are right there. But also the other thing that, when you're recruiting in Georgia right now, until Florida and Florida State get it really figured out, you can go into that state too if you're Georgia. And they had a lot of really good players from Florida. So they have a little advantage right now as long as they keep winning. You wonder if some of the stuff starts to catch up with them. But just like this year, there's 2 5-star defensive linemen left in that state that they're expected to get. We'll see if they get them. But it depends on how many 5-stars there are in the state of Texas. And then outside of the state, how many top 50 type guys is Texas pull in a class for me. But I do think, look, if Texas gets back to the playoff this year, no matter what happens, that's just a continued building and ascension of a program. I think Texas is going to be right there for top 3 level classes every year. Who's 1, who's 2, going to be hard to say.
And while we're on the subject of recruiting, Sean Gonzalez says, do you have any Hakeem Stewart update? Are we interested? Are we not interested? What's your scouting report?
Yeah, I think there's interest, but where it goes, I don't know. I mean, look, I will say this, though. If I was around that recruitment on the Stewart side, I would show up at a Texas game for NIL purposes, if nothing else. And if I'm Texas, I would want him to just come on campus. But I think Texas is up against that one a little bit on the recruiting trail. I'll say that. Somebody asked about Zealous Hicks and reclass. I think it's at least 50-50 right now. That happens. And I do think, look, the one thing about Stewart is, and I said this before, is he was at St. Aug, obviously left there, but he stayed in New Orleans area. Frank Wilson doesn't lose many of those must-have battles over the years, Bobby, in New Orleans. The ones they absolutely feel like they have to get. I mean, they even beat Nick Saban on Leonard Fournette when they probably shouldn't have, but they had to get it done. Had to. And I think Jakeem Stewart's one of those prospects for them. But Jakeem is a very academic, athletic-minded kid. So we'll see what happens with him. Somebody asked about, real quick, Isaiah Williams. E-Kim's asked about him a couple of days. Safety out of Fort Bend Marshall. Really good player. Has Texas in his top 5, final 5. It's a guy Texas likes. Will they make the final push? We'll see. I think that Texas is still very much in evaluation mode there. Somebody asked about KJ Ford, the edge at Duncanville. Was at the Mississippi State games, scheduled to come back for the Georgia game. He'll be one of the many, many visitors on this updated visitors list I'm going to put out. A really good player, not Colin Simmons, but who is, right, to be fair, but a really good player. Him, Jamarian Carlton, Luke Waffle, out of the Hun School in Princeton, who's been down a couple of times. Those are some edge prospects that Texas really likes early on.
Before we get to our last couple of questions or comments, Bobby, can you let everyone know about Rick Vavro and Austin Underground?
Yeah, I sure can. Rick and his team at Austin Underground have specialized in difficult commercial installations since 2004. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick Vavro and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. Thanks, Rick, Tony, you guys over there at Austin Underground for sponsoring On Texas Football.
Thank you, Bobby. And we got just a couple of more super chats before we get out of here, guys. This first one here from Juan. Thank you, Juan. He says, I don't know if it's been said, but rest in peace, Aaron De La Torre.
Yes, absolutely. Coach De La Torre had been on the show, was a friend of the program, and known him for many years. It was always unbelievable to me every time I stopped by Denton Ryan High School. Obviously, his son Alex played at the University of Texas, and so thoughts with the family.
And then we have two more guys. Slick Rick says, Bobby, will you eat a corn dog with mayo if Texas puts up a 50 burger on OU?
Bobby, the fans want this. Your fans want this, Bobby.
You can't deny the people.
No. I'd rather shave my head. I don't have much hair left. You guys are going to talk me into something. Look, you guys are going to eventually talk me into something that's going to be crazy. It doesn't need to be corn dog with mayo, Rick.
Wait, Jenny Burton's not on the chat. Jenny, are you on the chat? You need to get involved in this.
No.
Hey, you owe her. She's dressed up as a Heisman Trophy for Halloween, Bobby.
Yeah,
I do owe her. I don't owe her that.
Hey, by the way, UT boy, good to see you in there. We got to your super chat right at the end when we were going off the air yesterday, but thank you as always, UT boy, and I'm sure we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah. I had put it up there right at the end. I didn't see it until after I had clicked the end stream button. So my apologies there, but it did say, I even remember what it said. It said Woodshed. So thank you, UT boy, for the super chat. I tried to get it up before the stream ended, but I don't know if it actually made it or not. My apologies on that one.
Hey guys, I need to say something real quick. This week, our plans for tomorrow, Jerry and I will be at the Texas golf event live tomorrow morning. We hope to have a couple of guests for you guys that are playing in the event. A couple of former players will be out there. So hope to have you guys some special guests for tomorrow morning. Then also we're doing the live stream tomorrow afternoon at 3:00 at Terry Black's Barbecue down in downtown Dallas, or right about really close to downtown Dallas. Again, Terry Black's Barbecue from 3 to 4 out there. And then we're going to the bash before the clash, as well as the pep rally on Friday evening with the Dallas Texas X's. You guys join us out there. Any of those places. Again, tomorrow morning we'll be at the golf tournament. Probably not a good place for you to come out there if you're not already playing in the golf tournament. But then the 3:00 at Terry Black's, feel free to come out, hang out with us, have a beer, have some barbecue. And then Friday evening we'll be at the AT&T Discovery Center for the bash before the clash, as well as the pep rally for the game. The alumni band will be there actually tomorrow night, Jerry, as well.
All right, last one for today, fellas. It's a super chat from Blake. Blake, thank you so much for the super chat. Nice name, by the way. He says, I was rewatching the game from last year. Serious question. Did OU have our signals?
By the way, congrats to Colt on the new name on the super chat. All right, go ahead, Blake. Go ahead, Bobby.
I think they certainly had some. Like I have no doubt that Venables was known for that and has been known for it. And so I certainly believe that that's part of it. That's my basic belief. And I still believe that stealing signals is going on. It's just now it doesn't matter until the 15 seconds left.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. So it'll be interesting to see how many times does Texas snap the ball before 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Texas tries to steal signals too, by the way.
By the way, I need to answer this because David Keith's asked this about a couple of times. I've not heard that, but I do need to check on that. So that's a really good
reclassification.
Yeah.
Of Hakeem Stewart. All right. Okay, guys. You got to put this up real quick while I say this. That's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Vavro and Austin Underground. We want to thank them, along with Gooder and HelloFresh, for sponsoring today's show. We also need to thank our special guests, Coach Bob Shipley and Peyton Yager, for coming on today. Really appreciate the both of them. Bobby, what do we have later today?
We got the game preview coming up. Rod Babers and CJ Vogel going to break it down for you. Then we also have the winning drive this afternoon from 3:15 to about 4:30. Then we've got a bunch of other stuff coming up all week. We got recruiting news. Jerry's going to be on the go today, visiting a couple schools up in Dallas with players that you guys will know. We don't want to put that out there quite yet where he's going, but anyways, that'll be out there. And then all day tomorrow and Saturday, we've got you covered. Our game day coverage is going to be as much as we've ever done. We're actually going to be broadcasting from the State Fair, so very excited about that.
All right, Jerry, with the shades on as we leave today. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So be sure to join us. We'll also have a beat writer on for OU. We'll be talking the Red River rivalry shootout, whatever y'all want to call it before I offend anybody. So we will be back then. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hook 'em.